keep watching and be disappointed, or I'm going to cut it. So I cut it cold turkey. And I really haven't even seen a wrestling match in no exaggeration, about 5 years until last night when I watched the premiere episode of Raw on Netflix.
Is that true, Phil? Lots of people are skeptical of this claim. You're saying in the last 5 years you've not watched a single match, no WrestleMania, no Royal Rumble, no Survivor Series?
No, the last match that I saw was Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar for the title at WrestleMania, whatever the WrestleMania that was, 2020. I think they were at the Performance Center. And by the way, thank you to Wolves for another $5 super chat. He was correct.
He says it's pronounced Wolves, sir. My apologies. Maybe if you add an extra 0 to that super chat, we'll pronounce the name properly. But, we need at least $50 from you, buddy. Come on. What's going on? It's the return of smart guys. Let's get some fucking donos in here for Philomania. It's running wild with the Philomania brothers. The power of Philomania is running wild on you with PPP here in the house. So I'll give you my perspective.
That's right.
You have to get it right the first time. And a lot of people don't understand. They're like, oh, this is fair. And they have to be able to do it without hurting themselves. They're on the road 300 days out of the year. They rarely see their family. They're constantly traveling, right? So it's something where for the average person, when they look at it, they go, this is fake, this is gay. But there actually is some incredible stuff to it, right?
Right. By the way, I think we should do some more shout outs because so many contributions are coming in. First of all, on the kick side, wow. Thank you guys so very much. Just listen to this. We've got Barry Smooth with a gifted sub. Thank you to Barry Smooth for a gifted sub. We've got Whoa Baby with 5 gifted subs. Thank you, Whoa Baby.
Whoa Baby, let's go. Choo choo, sub train. Let's get her going.
And then, ladies and gentlemen, Rare Tricks, 25 subs on Kick, 25 bomb.
A 25
amazing
bomb to support the show. Rare Tricks, we fucking love you. That's the $100 I was asking for, or actually more.
That's right.
Let's keep it coming. We can do better than that, guys. Come on. Let's show them that wrestling fans aren't just poor, broke, smelly, 400-pound bums. And that's one of the problems with pro wrestling is they have trouble attracting advertisers that pay the big bucks because the stereotype is that wrestling fans are uneducated, they're ignoramuses, they're dumb. But that's not true. Wrestling fans are really high-quality people, and let's show them that tonight.
Also, on the YouTube side of things, we have Ban Amber Heard's Turd, who did $2 super chats. First one, he says, Andy sounds like Iago from Aladdin. I don't know if that's some kind of a running meme or something.
No, I haven't heard that one yet.
And also he says, wrestling hasn't been good since the late 90s. Well, some people are of that impression that the Attitude Era was kind of the epitome of what pro wrestling can be, and that we're never going to see it reach back to those heights. And as Ash had mentioned, a lot of people had thought that going to Netflix would mean that WWE would return back to that kind of Attitude Era of content, but it seems like they're still sticking PG, at least for now.
Let's talk about that. So I wasn't alive for the Attitude Era. We have a new mat. What do you think of, they have all this branding and logos on the mat. What do you think, Phil? You're not a fan?
There was none of that when I was watching, 5 years ago. So for me, of course, it's jarring. Now, I've heard that they've done this for pay-per-view events and stuff. They've had that kind of branding. And I mean, as long as it's not intrusive, okay, it's there. And every other sport is doing this too, right? UFC has that shit. Everyone has that shit on the mat now. As long as it's not intrusive to the product, I guess I'm okay with it. But it is a shame that every single thing has to go so goddamn commercial at this point. But,
I know.
It's kind of reality.
Now, I actually really like it. I like it better. And let me tell you why. It makes me feel like it's a real sport. It makes me feel like it's like UFC. When you tune into UFC, which they're now merged with, they have that stuff on the ring mat. Yes. And going back to New Japan has always had those advertisements on the mat and stuff like that, which assists in the sports-based presentation. So I know a lot of people were complaining to see the Hulk Hogan beer ad on the mat. But you know what? Like, I like that. I like seeing the beer ads on the mat, which I also think is crazy because it's supposed to be a family-centered PG product. But yet here we are shilling beer to children,
right?
You know, who are watching this shit. It's kind of crazy. I'm not wild about Fortnite being the one in the middle, but it is 2025 and I'm fucking old and you're old and that's what's hip. That's what's cool. That's what's paying. And so it's smart, I think, that it makes it feel more sports-based.
Yeah.
And it's also smart because it's a new source of revenue for the company. So I didn't mind that too much.
Keep it in the ring, keep it on the mat. But I swear to God, if they have a segment where all the wrestlers dress up like Fortnite and start doing fucking dancing like in banana suits, that's going to be fucking way too much. And I hope they didn't go that far.
Oh, and back in the day, like especially 10 years ago, like 2011, 2012, there was a lot of shitty commercial plugs like that. I remember like
the Subway sandwich segment. Remember that shit? They're all chasing the sandwich in the arena.
Or like when they had to dress up as like KFC, Colonel Sanders, like this. So sometimes that just gets too silly and ridiculous. I think I remember they did like a Walking Dead promotion. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but do you remember where I think it was during the COVID era they had like a zombie come in and battle like John Morrison and shit. So sometimes that gets too hokey and stuff. I wanted to mention the new Raw logo to Charlotte Flair.
Right.
So we all have to endure fucking Andrade's garbage. Fuck that. Then we had Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre, Phil.
Yes.
Jey Uso comes out with Travis Scott.
You know, that's something we didn't mention. The new theme song of Raw. I was like, oh, come on. This is what they selected. You know, I'm from the era of, you know, we got the guns, the drugs, and my generation. You know, the hard rock shit. It's the theme of wrestling. It's always been like the theme of wrestling. And now there's this movement to turn wrestling into like everything has to be this hip hop music. Now, listen, I'm not here to crap on hip hop music or whatever, but even the vibe of the song they selected for Raw from Travis Scott, it's one of his songs, doesn't seem to fit pro wrestling for me. It's weird. It's a different vibe. It's like almost like a relaxing song. Like, I don't want to hear that when people are about to beat the shit out of each other in a ring. You know, it's very bizarre.
It doesn't get me hyped up like old Raw intros used to do. I'm not really a Travis Scott guy. I understand it's a new generation. They want to appeal to the youth. Travis Scott is a huge superstar. Him being on the show was a big get for WWE, big get for Netflix, huge for Jey Uso. But this is my thing. I don't buy into Jey Uso. First of all, I can't even really tell Jey and Jimmy Uso apart. I always thought that they were very mediocre and very mid. And the final nail in the coffin for me on the Usos was their WrestleMania match against each other at WrestleMania 40. This match was the drizzling fucking shits. Everybody fucking knows it. It cemented to me that these guys will never be main event players. They're not serious players. I think the push that Jimmy and Jay get is completely nepotistic. Has to do with, and we all know this, has to do with that they're family with The Rock and Roman Reigns, and so the family takes care of each other. And this win for fucking Jey Uso is completely nepotistic. Drew McIntyre has put in the fucking work. Drew McIntyre, when he first left WWE, he was a jabron.
Yep.
He was
three-man band.
He was not even good enough for the mid-card. Couldn't cut a fucking promo to save his life. His physique was lacking. It was mediocre at best. He came back, huge jacked physique. I've met Drew McIntyre in person. He is probably the biggest guy I've ever fucking met. He is fucking he's huge, man. And I'm a big fucking guy, big fat guy. But he made me feel small to be in his fucking presence. I think he does have a larger-than-life presence. This new character they've given him, I really like. I like that, shoot promo that he cut a couple weeks ago on that wrestling podcast where he was like, when I was out, not one person gave me a call. wrestling fans are fickle and they forget you immediately, and there's always a new guy. And it felt really real, and it felt really raw, and it felt really strong. And this guy just always gets the fucking shaft. It's going to be CM Punk. Some people have said it's going to be Seth Rollins. We're at an interesting point here on the road to Royal Rumble and road to WrestleMania, where all of this stuff is going to start coming together. We had a WWE Mayhem mobile game ad. Are you going to be playing Mobile Mayhem, Phil?
No, I am not. One crappy mobile game is enough for WWE for me. So I'll continue to
Phil,
play Champions.
Let's just settle this once and for all. Phil, you are down from the rafters, right?
I was. I'm not anymore. But I was.
But Phil, you are down from the rafters.
I am, yes.
You are still down from the rafters. You are.
No, I sold the account. I really did.
But Phil, there's no. First of all, here's what I'll just say, Phil. Phil, just please confess. Don't make me do this. Just say you're down from the rafters.
I was, but I'm not. I really did sell the account. We'll have to do this every week. We'll do a segment every week.
Okay. But Phil, selling the account is against the terms of service from Scopely, so why isn't it banned?
That's a good question, but there are other accounts that also have been sold that are not banned. Like I said, how I learned that you could sell an account was that someone else who was in a high-profile faction had done exactly the same thing. This person had announced that they were retiring, right? They had made this big public thing. They even had a video on YouTube. Oh, I'm retiring from Champions. And then the account is still active. And it's still being used. Everyone's like, what? How is it still being played with? Because they sold it. And basically, I think what it is with these whale accounts, they allow.
But I believe that anybody else could get away with it other than you. Because surely the detractors would be reporting it, and it would be a violation of TOS, and they'd ban it.
Yeah, I don't know. I like I said, my hands are washed of it. I got rid of it. I don't know anything about it.
And then Phil, there's there's listings. So every place where these accounts are sold, there's no listing for Down from the Rafters, Phil.
Yeah, that's correct, because I did it behind the scenes.
Phil, come on, Phil. Phil, God damn it, Phil. We've come so close, and yet we're so far. We've come so close, and yet we're so far, Phil.
Listen.
No one cares.
Listen,
everybody that gives you money knows.
Listen, there's something interesting about this, okay? All right? When I was talking to Mike Clone about the possibility of doing a documentary, okay? He said, one of the most interesting things about you is this mythos about this stupid mobile game, right? And he says,
yeah,
it's just this mysterious thing. Everyone is always talking about it doesn't matter, but if we do this documentary, we have to have it. We have to talk about it. He wanted to do a big segment about it with revealing stuff and stuff like that. But the thing is, there's a mythos, right? And to keep the mythos going is better than to just be like, oh, You know what? That's
actually the best answer you could possibly have given, Phil, and I'm going to accept that answer because, the mystique of where is the money going, but we know now, Phil, fuck. I don't know. It's listen, everybody knows, I know, the dent tractor. Oh, the fans know. Nobody really cares, I don't think, but
no one gives a shit. No one ever really did. That's the truth, is that no one ever did. It was always the bullshit of what's the one drama thing to keep bringing up, and that was it. It's the thing they're going to always hang on to.
It's just another thing to whip you through the streets about and fucking rag on you about forever. But I don't know. I think you should just say that it's you and that you still spend thousands of dollars on it. But that's just me. What else do we got here? Okay, The Rock was backstage. He was shaking hands.